I'm David Schuster, live at the politics desk in Washington. Does Dick Cheney's daughter have political aspirations? As often as the former vice president has been in the media spotlight recently, Liz Cheney has spent even more time in front of the cameras. In fact, she's conducted 12 interviews in 9 days this month, defending her father's terror policies. A few of those appearances were right here on MSNBC. Benjamin Sarlin is a contributor for thedailybeast.com. And Ben, first of all, what is Liz Cheney up to?
Well, it's hard to tell. It seems mostly the one issue she's devoted to is just defending her father. So not necessarily boosting her chances for running for office. It might be just about defending the Bush-Cheney legacy, or even a lower goal, just keeping him from being indicted.
Does she have a problem in that if she does want to run for office, I mean, she doesn't have any sort of experience other than just sort of witnessing her parents. She hasn't held elective office. That could be a problem, couldn't it?
Not necessarily. She does have some weight on her resume. She worked in the State Department under the Bush administration, and as she's demonstrated with all these media appearances, she's a very effective debater, very effective at getting her message across. So I think it's definitely not right to disqualify her outright based on her qualifications from running.
Here's what she told NBC's Chuck Todd when she was on with him during our noon hour last week, and she said that her idea of terror policies would obviously be quite different from the current administration. Watch.
When you're fighting terror, when you're keeping the country safe, your objective is to keep the country safe. Your objective can't be, let's try to find middle ground, on a political spectrum. You can't look at this as a political issue.
I wonder if the problem there is that, the argument that the other side is looking this at a political issue is not exactly correct either. I mean, opponents would say, well, wait a second, we think that the best way to keep the country safe is to not engage in this type of policy.
Well, she doesn't exactly help her case when she's asked if she's running for office, and she doesn't exactly rule it out or give a straight answer. She actually gave somewhat of a politician's answer when she was asked, saying, I'm focused on other things right now, which is always often what people say before they're running. So it's difficult to tell why her approach is not political, but say the Democrats are, especially when you consider that, in a sense, her approach is political. A lot of strategists would consider it political suicide, keeping Dick Cheney with his poll numbers in the news for this long.
Here's the latest approval ratings, and again, this gets to the idea of which direction the Republican Party wants to go. Approval rating for Colin Powell, 70%. Approval rating for Rush Limbaugh, 30%. Approval rating for former Vice President Dick Cheney, 37%. To the extent that Liz Cheney essentially falls into the wing of the party that her dad and Rush Limbaugh belong to, isn't that a problem generally for Republicans?
Yes, it's a problem that hasn't quite been resolved. The Republican Party is in this situation where leaders like Michael Steele and others keep saying, well, we're going to move on now, we're looking ahead, we're the party of ideas now, this era of apologizing is over. Yet at the same time, they don't have anyone who's had the credibility or the willingness in the party to stand up to the Dick Cheney wing of the party and say, look, you're off message, you're focusing things on the past, we can't refight those battles, we have to move forward. Until someone's really willing to get up and give that speech, it's just going to be this continuous standoff between the Cheneys, moderates, and the party's base, where everyone's sort of afraid to go after each other for fear of igniting a war.
Benjamin Sarlin, a contributor for thedailybeast.com. And Ben, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, David.
You're welcome.